Hi there. Thank you for joining me once again for another life lesson from the Soul's Journey lesson deck. Most days I shuffle the deck, pull a random card, and that's what I talk about. I'm going to do it a little differently today. I've done this once before where there's a specific card, a specific topic that I want to talk about. And that's what I'm going to do today. So the card that I've chosen to speak about today is death. And some of you are probably feeling some resistance and let's not talk about this, and I don't want to hear about the D word, right? Because this is a huge fear for a lot of us. But I'm going to hopefully give you just maybe some information that'll help you to shift, to maybe feel a little bit more prepared and to be able to feel a little bit more comfortable around death. The bottom of the card says, I am learning that endings are merely beginnings. And this is so true. And death is actually around us all the time, right? It's just when we hear death or we think about death death of the physical body. And we fear this, a lot of us, most of us. And the reason we do is because of that whole unknown. And it's really the unknown that we fear, it's not death. Personally, I believe if you are truly living, not just existing, but living, you will not fear death. And let me explain. So first of all, coming back to, again, endings are merely beginnings, right? And we see this in nature, right? We're moving into, I don't even want to say it this early, but fall is our next season, right? We start to see the leaves start to die and the trees shed their leaves, and it's a process of death. Right? And with death comes rebirth in different forms. You know, we could have a change in our career. That is a form of death, right? It's an ending of something and then a beginning of something new. And even death of the physical body is still, it's a transition into something new, something different, right? And there's many different beliefs about what happens after death. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is what happens and this is what it's going to be like, because I 100% don't know myself either. I have my thoughts, theories, and beliefs, and you have your own, and that's okay. But remembering that really we are all energy, right? We are not our physical body, we're not our mind, we are this pure consciousness. And energy doesn't just end. Our physical body does. But at that point, there's some sort of transition, whether you believe in reincarnation or, you know, a different life. Again, it's an opportunity to move to something new. And I get it is kind of scary because we don't know. And I guess to a degree, I do at times have that little bit of fear myself. But just by changing the way I live, I view death a lot differently as well, right? So coming back to this, are you existing or are you truly living? I think what a lot of us probably fear about death is being, you know, in that moment of knowing or being on our deathbed and the regrets that we have, right? And that's where I'm saying if you're truly living, not just existing, if you're living and you're doing as much as you can and having all the experiences you want to have, when it comes time for that transition, you know, you can hopefully feel like, okay, I did all these amazing things and I accomplished so much, and how rewarding is it that I can move on to the next thing feeling this fullness in life, right? And yes, there are times when, you know, that death of the physical body comes at a young age, or it comes very unexpectedly. And that it is tough to prepare for, right? And there is grieving, and I'm not saying you shouldn't feel a variety of negative emotions when there is death of the physical body at whatever age or with whoever it is that's close to us. It is a very difficult thing to deal with, but what we can try to focus on is allowing ourselves to grieve properly, going through the 5 stages of grief, but to also remember to find gratitude for everything that was experienced to that point, And especially if it's another person that we're grieving, be grateful that they have this opportunity to no longer feel the suffering that often comes with this life. And they have an opportunity to move on to something maybe more peaceful, more beautiful, or to have a new opportunity to come back and relive a whole new amazing life. And that is something beautiful, right? Again, different approaches from dealing with that death that is sudden, unexpected, and when it's someone at a young age, a little bit different approach. But someone who has lived a full life, death can be and should be viewed as a celebration. And we do see this more in society, rather than funeral, we often, hear or have these celebrations of life. And that's what it should be. Like, how amazing for a specific individual to have gone through this journey and to experience as much as possible. And we should celebrate that they are no longer having to deal with maybe the challenges that they've been struggling with, and have a new opportunity for whatever it is. So again, I know this is a very tough subject to talk about, but avoiding it, resisting, all that does is it keeps us in that place of fear, and it makes it more difficult to deal with when the time comes. But if you can start to see death in all the different areas of life, again, in nature, in just transitioning, right? Remembering that death is just a transition, whether it's a transition into a new relationship, a new career, watching it happening around you with, just things evolving and growing. And we need to go through that process. And it really is just a part of life. It's part of this whole cycle. So I guess my words of encouragement or my suggestions for you to move forward and to be able to start to find some comfort in this is to, again, just notice it, accept it, allow yourself to go through any grieving that may come with death, especially when it's people that are close to us, but also be grateful for this whole cycle, right? And having appreciation for the journey, and also keeping that in mind to help encourage yourself to really start to live, right? Don't just exist. There's another video I've done on this. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Are you living or are you existing? Because if you truly, truly start to live, death will become a lot less of a fear. I can honestly say that from my own experience. The more you live, the less you fear dying. And it's something like all of this other stuff, you got to work at it all the time. You just can't change your thought one day and then everything changes. Again, this is all about changing our whole life, how we view life, how we feel about life, how we experience life, approach life. It's all about this transition. And death is just another part of transition. Work with that. I will have more in the future with that. I incorporate it into some of the workshops that I do. So if it is something that you really feel a lot of resistance with and you need a little bit more information or some support to help move from that fear, again, you can reach out to me through any of my avenues of contact, or go check out my website and see what workshops are coming up that may help with this and many other fears that you may have. Have a fabulous day. Try to, again, view this from a more positive, open perspective than resisting and being closed off and trying to avoid it, because it is there and it's always going to be there and it's going to surface. So prepare yourself. Have a fabulous day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.